Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Dribble, the show where we take a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. My name is Luke Irwin, and I am your host. Super excited. We are back into the full swing of things in the NBA. The second half of the season, the push for the playoffs is upon us. Teams are getting the final, screws in the holes. They're trying to get the chemistry going. This is a really fun push, trying to get on the right footing heading into the playoffs. Today's episode, first, we're going to talk about the recap of a light week for the Celtics. Not too many games for us, just 2 games. We're going to discuss Jason Tatum's recent media buzz and what that means, and we're going to look ahead to a great slate of games that kind of bolsters that media buzz that he's been getting. And then, when you hear this sound, that means it is time to shut up about the Celtics. Enough about the Celtics. Let's move on to the rest of the NBA, and we have a really good one. Major Wager is back on the dribble again after a week hiatus. Major Wager is back, and I've taken a big leap in the head-to-head match against Timmy KGB, aka T-Bone Steak, extra rare, no hollandaise. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, about the All-Star break, and we're going to play a new game that I like to call 2 Truths and 1 Lie. 2 truths and 1 lie. Plus, as always, we are going to take a look ahead to the games in this upcoming week across the NBA that I find fascinating and I think are good to watch. Plus, go over the Celtics slate of games. So yeah, so much to get into. And personally, I suggest we do, because this is the dribble. Okay, everybody, so the Boston Celtics are currently on an 8-game winning streak. We are going through a tear. That is the longest winning streak in the NBA right now. We got wins number 44 and number 45. We have 45 and 12. That's our record, 45 and 12. We got into 45 wins, and we haven't even gotten to 15 losses. So we're on a great trajectory. We're playing great. We look great. And then, like I said, we are on an 8-game winning streak. And it's going to be interesting to see when that snaps, but we'll talk about that in a little bit here. First, let's quickly recap those 2 wins this week. Like I said, a light week for the Celtics post All-Star break, which is kind of nice. Slowly get back into the thick of things in the season. So the first game was against the Chicago Bulls. Celtics 129, Bulls 112. This was an easy game, start to finish, if you even watched it, right? It was one of those games where you kind of mark it like, I don't have to see this game. It is the Bulls. We didn't play particularly well, throughout the entire game, and maybe with some sluggishness, post-All-Star sluggishness, but they out-rebounded us by 9. They also had 13 offensive boards to our 5, which could have been some of that sluggishness, and maybe we weren't trying as hard. But the Celtics shot 48% from 3, which that kind of was the difference there. They beat us in rebounds, like I said. They had more assists than us. They had less turnovers than us, but we just shot lights out, and that was a theme also in the Knicks game. We shot the ball, the 3 ball in particular, very well. But yeah, the Bulls are just kind of disjointed and confusing to me, right? I mean, I could talk about this game. I could go through the stats, the team stats, but the Bulls are a parking lot team at the end of the day, right? And so I'm not going to spend too much time dissecting how we played against them, right? Derek White played great. He had 28 points. He's been obviously back on his BS lately. He's been doing great. Tatum had a pretty good game, 25, 6, and 6. And yeah, but at the end of the day, we played the Bulls. The Bulls are confusing, like I said. They have a bunch of really good players like Caruso and Levine and DeRozan and Vucevic, but none of them are great or even on that next level of good where like you can maybe see yourself building a team around them. And not only that, all of those pieces are kind of expensive and are not immovable by any stretch, but the value that you paid for them is not the value that you're going to get back from them, which puts the Bulls in a very precarious situation. And they kind of remind me of the Nets in that way. They have a lot of players who are really good, who now have played enough years where they do warrant a pretty good contract, a lot of money, but they're not good enough to be your only guy or to be your best player. So, like I said, the Nets and them kind of remind me of each other, and both of them are in the parking lot right now in Hope's Hotel, which has not changed at all. So we're not going to have a Hope's Hotel this episode. But like I said, they've paid a lot for those guys, and the return isn't going to be much. They only have 6 first-round draft picks in the next 6 years. And to put that in perspective, a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are a great team, they have 12 first-round draft picks in the next 6 years. So that's just mismanagement by the Bulls, right? I mean, you have these players, you seem like you're trying to build something, but you're kind of stuck in the mud. You have guys like DeRozan and guys like Levine who are just hard to move because they demand a lot of money. But are good teams really willing to pay that much money for a guy like that? Those guys, I'm not sure that they're role players. They haven't really shown that they can, contribute to a winning team. I think they're like really good players, but they're not a type of player. They're not easy to move, and especially for where their price tag is and where the Bulls paid them, like how much the Bulls have paid them, and Caruso as well. It's going to be hard to sell them and actually get anything back other than just spare parts, which again, with a team like this, you don't need more spare parts. You're basically you're all spare parts. That's kind of what it is. And that's really mean of me to say. I just said it and felt mean about it, but I'm going to double down on it. Most of the Bulls players are just spare parts. I love Caruso, though. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see Caruso in a Celtics uniform. He plays gritty, great defense. He shoots the ball well, 3-and-D guy, but he's also he's tenacious. He's more athletic than you would think, and he's always been great. He was great on the Lakers. I think he's been really fun and great on the Bulls. But again, he's one of those guys who's a good guy. He's the one that they could unload and have it actually make an impact. So like I said, not much to talk about the Bulls game. I'm not going to spend your hard-earned time listening to this podcast talking about the game against the Chicago Bulls. Not worth it. Sorry. And I have a couple friends who are Bulls fans. If you're listening, I know who you are. Text me. We can talk about it. We can talk about the Bulls if you have any issues or anything that I'm missing there. The next game was against the New York Knicks, which again, kind of a week for the Celtics, double week Celtics. The Celtics were 116, Knicks 102. This game is not what the game is going to be. This Knicks team is going to be a completely different team come playoff time, hopefully. I hope that they get healthy. I hope that they get whole, because I love this team. I love Brunson. I love him leading this team. I really do. And I love where they're going. I love Mitchell Robinson. He was playing so well before he got injured in December. He's amazing. He's a great anchor. Randall is on and off. We've talked about Randall. Not sure how much I like him. But again, he's such a big piece, and he's been injured for this. It looks like he should be back soon. And then OG Anunoby, who I love and I think was such a steal they got from the Raptors by sending RJ Barrett to Toronto, and they got OG Anunoby, who's young and he's so good. The elbow injury, OG Anunoby's currently out 1 to 2 more weeks with an elbow injury. They've removed a foreign object in his elbow, so it's going to be interesting to see how he comes back, because that can be a tough injury to come back from. It really can. So again, interesting to see what happens there. But this game, you can't put too much stock in it. We went into Madison Square Garden, sure, and they've been playing well even with the injuries, but we're too good of a team to lose to a team with 3 starters out. 3 starters. OG, Julius Randle, who's a big identity piece in their team, and Mitchell Robinson. Now they've been playing a lot without Mitchell Robinson, but he is a big part of their plan moving forward. And so this game, I take with a grain of salt. It was good. It was fine, right? JB, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Tatum, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. The starters, this was encouraging for the Celtics, had 96 points. 96 points for the Boston Celtics starters. That's a lot. That is a lot. That is a concerted effort. That is everybody pitching in. But again, watching this game, here's my takeaway from this game, right? Because it's not equal halves. We're not seeing the full healthy Knicks, and we're not seeing against the Celtics, right? The Celtics were full and healthy, but we're not seeing these two teams full, healthy, and that is what we want to see. And I think that's what we're going to see in the playoffs, which I'm a little bit scared of that. Brunson's a beast. I mean, even without those 3 starters, he had them in good position for a lot of the game because he's that good. He really is that good. So I'm a little bit scared of the Knicks, to be honest, but at the same time, I'm excited about this team. It's good to have basketball back in the Mecca. I love the New York Knicks, what they're doing. So it's going to be interesting to see them getting health back. So this was my takeaway from this game. And yeah, because this is my podcast, and I can talk about whatever I want to, and I am a fan of the Boston Celtics. So I'm going to talk about my fandom of the Boston Celtics and my favorite player on the Boston Celtics, who, if you look at his stat line, like I said, 19, 6, and 6, it wouldn't look like Jason Tatum had a good game against the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. It doesn't look like it. 19 points, under 20 points in Madison Square Garden. Where's the double nickel? You know, we all want Jason Tatum to score 50 plus in situations like this. But here's what I saw. Here's what I saw. And this is what I've been seeing all year, and especially lately. His patience and his ability and willingness to sacrifice, knowing who was on this team. He could easily, if he was on the Wizards, I bet he would average 40 points a game. He's been through the ringer since he was a rookie coming into this league. He's been to the Eastern Conference Finals his rookie year, and then from there, so much success, so many deep playoff runs, so many lessons learned. A lot of times people don't learn lessons in their first couple of years because they're not making the playoffs, they're not on a great team, and then they go through those trials and tribulations later on in their career, and so it takes longer to develop. But Tatum is already figuring it out, what most players figure out in year 8. He's already figuring it out, where as the best player, sometimes the best thing to do is to take a back seat. And he certainly did that in this game. I mean, it's hard to explain. It was almost masterful, his ability to kind of sit, take a back seat, still be involved. He played 44 minutes in this game. It seemed like his usual rotations, he did the first rotation out with the 6-minute mark of the first quarter, and then he came back with about 2 minutes, and then he played the entire second quarter. I'm pretty sure he played the entire, maybe he was out for, I think he played the entire third quarter, and then he was out for the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then played the rest of the game. Even when we were up by like 20, he was still in, and I saw Joe at one point say, like, do you want to come out? And he was like, no, keep me in. There comes a point in a superstar's career where he has to learn how to play well within a good team to win championships. We can all agree that Jason Tatum isn't Giannis. He's not some incredible force, right? He's not somebody who has such incredible athleticism that there's no way a team can stop him. So therefore, if he puts his head down, he can just score 34, and then he's huge, lanky and athletic, where he can average 11 rebounds. Not easily. It takes a lot of work for Giannis and people like that to do that. But he's not of that caliber of athleticism and phenom, right? He's not like that. But I stand by this. He is top 3 in my eyes in the league right now because of his two-way play and because of how his game is maturing. He has so much maturity in his game this year. Last night was a great example of that, or the Knicks game was a great example of that. Like I said, 19, 6, and 6. Doesn't look like a great stat line. But if you watch him the entire time, and I've been watching Jason Tatum for his entire career, and I watched that entire game, and I was watching Jason Tatum the entire time. He was on the floor for most of that game. He had 44 minutes in that game. He was only sat for 2 minutes in the first quarter, and the first 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. And then he was right back in there, and he did not leave, even with a 20-point lead. I think that Jason Tatum was sending a message to the rest of the league. Tatum's name was in the media all week long at the end of All-Star break. Okay, he was interviewed by a bunch of people, asked about the MVP race, the face of the league, if he thinks he's that, and where he believes he is as far as status in the NBA. And his answer was consistent and confident in all of them, that he's the best player in the league, he's the best player when he walks onto the floor, he believes he should be way more discussed in the MVP race. But he also talked about the disrespect that he gets because he lost in the finals 2 years ago. And I just think he has leveled up because games like this, he could easily take 35 shots. After making a statement like that in the media, he could easily be like, yeah, watch this. Huck up 30 shots, miss most of them, try to go for a big game, try to say, yeah, this is me, look at this, 35 points, whatever. But instead, this entire game, he was a shark. He was a shark. You could see him. He had his fingerprints all over it, but he was waving it off. He was saying, no, go over there. And again, I think he was sending a message to the league because it was on ABC. It's in the mecca of basketball, New York City, Madison Square Garden, right? Everybody wants Tatum to get a double nickel in Madison Square Garden. But he took a back seat almost to say two things. Number one, look how good our team is. I'm not going to shoot. He shot 15 total shots in this game in Madison Square Garden on a Saturday night, 8:30 on ABC. After making those claims, he shot only 15 shots. There was this confidence about him. And I watched Tatum play since he came into the league. And I've seen him rush. I've seen him try to score too much. I've seen him push things that aren't there. Lately, over the past couple of months, I have seen a maturity that I have not seen in his game ever. And this game, I thought, was a perfect example of that. He had this confidence where every once in a while he would catch it, make his move. And if he hit a couple more threes, he was 2 for 8, he would have had 25 points, 27 points, his average. But he didn't hit a couple of those, and he's a little bit of a streaky shooter. We know that. But this was a shark game. He was just saying 2 things, like I said. Number 1, look how good my team is. I will just take 15 shots. I'll get everybody else involved. I'll play solid defense. I'll be a good contributor on the floor without the ball. And look, Porzingis goes off. Brown has 30. Derek White's doing his thing. I don't even need to play. I think he saw the injuries on the other side and was like, I'll play, but I'm just going to show you how good our team is. And then 2, I think his biggest growth, his point of maturity and his patience that we've seen this year and that we have not seen in previous years is the ability to lead, to give confidence to his other players, to make sure that people understand, hey, I'm here to win. I'm not here to get personal accolades. I know I could average 35, but I'm here to do what's best for the team. Porzingis, you're back in the Mecca. Let me toss you a couple threes. Let me give you the ball. Let me push the ball to you on the post. Right? You're back where you were drafted. You want to prove something wrong. You want to gain some confidence. Prove the Knicks fans wrong that they shouldn't have basically booed you at the draft and then also cheered when you left. And so he gives confidence to Porzingis. That's incredible. That's a leader. Jaylen Brown, again, in the Mecca. Tatum's been in the media. And if you watch, it's not him. He would give the ball to Brown, and you could see him. He would give the ball to Brown, and Brown would go to pass it back, and Tatum would, no, it's you. He literally, his body language was like, and it wasn't like, no, you. It was like, no, you're good. Like, you take it. Speaking of that, Kristaps Porzingis talked about the sacrifices that Jason Tatum has taken and how that's not an easy thing for a superstar to do. Take a listen.
He deserves a lot of credit because he could, say, F it, I want to score 30 every night, I want to get the MVP, but he's not doing that. And I think people are overlooking that. And you have to give him credit because when he does that, it makes everybody else do that. And then we're winning games because everybody's feeling good, everybody's scoring, we're all dangerous.
He was feeding Jaylen Brown. He was feeding Kristaps Porzingis. He was feeding Derek White. He was vocal. And where did he want his game to be played here? On the defensive end. He took the assignment of Brunson a lot. And late in the fourth quarter, when the Knicks were making a push to cut the lead down, he guarded Brunson back to back to back, and he shut him down. He forced Brunson to pass multiple times down the stretch. His defense was incredible. His switching was incredible. He had a big block on DiVincenzo. And look, I know I'm a homer. I'm being a homer right now because, look, I am a homer. Whatever, this is my podcast. Like I said, I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. But this next stretch coming up for Tatum is where he can get his MVP bid really on lock. I don't think he's really going to win it. I really don't. But I think he deserves to. I think he is downright a better player. He's not as sensational as Luka. He doesn't have the stats that Jokic has, right? But he has done nothing in his career but play the right way. And this year he is sacrificing his personal accolades in order to be the leader of a team that is far and away the favorites to win the championship. And that's a huge thing. That means you're MVP in the league. You're the most valuable player if you're the best team on the best, you're the best player on the best team. So let's look ahead on how he can really solidify this MVP bid. The Celtics' next 6 games are all nationally televised. That is crazy. That's the longest stretch in the NBA for any team. They have 6 straight nationally televised games. They play the Sixers on Tuesday. No Embiid. They play the Mavs on Friday. That's going to be a good one. They play the Warriors on Sunday. They play the Cavs the following Tuesday. They play Denver that following Thursday. And then they play the Suns that next Monday. So those games are on TNT, ESPN, ABC, TNT, and ABC. 6 straight games, nationally televised. And anybody who knows anything about the MVP award, it is about the media. Everything funnels through the media. So these nationally televised games are huge for players. And they're not just regular games. These are against other people who are in the running for MVP. The Mavericks, Luka Doncic, ahead of him right now in MVP voting. He has a great game against Luka, goes head to head on national television with him, and he beats him, and he plays the right way, and he plays defense. Maybe gets a couple lockdowns on Luka, gets a block on Luka. That's a point for Tatum. Then the Warriors, Steph Curry and the Warriors, he overcomes, right, that Warriors loss in the finals, plays really well, plays against Steph, still top 5 guy in the league in my opinion, Steph is. Not in the MVP race because their team's not doing well, but that's another great matchup. That's a key matchup against a legend. Has a chance to get another point. Then the Cavs. He plays the Cavs, who are the second team in the East. They have the second best record in the East, and Donovan Mitchell is on fire. So they play the Cavs. That's a national televised game. That's another chance for him to go, oh, it's cute that you think you guys are it. Watch this. And he can have an explosive game. And that's another reason why I think he was playing a little soft. I think he's about to explode on these next games. And then Denver. Denver hosts Boston. Again, potential finals matchup, and Nikola Jokic is the leading candidate for MVP right now. So again, another MVP candidate head-to-head on national televised game. It's just national television in the MVP race matters. And then he plays the Suns that following Monday. Kevin Durant, again, in the MVP talks. He's Kevin Durant. He's a legend. The Suns are on fire. The Suns have been hot lately. That's another amazing opportunity on ABC for him to showcase his bid for MVP. So this is really the stretch. And then after that, the Celtics have such a low and weak schedule. Their strength of schedule is second easiest in the league moving forward. So it's this gauntlet of games, nationally televised games, and then easy from there. So if he can, in this 6-game stretch, make a tear, average 30 plus, 9 plus rebounds, and 5 plus assists, and they win most of those games, and he plays incredible defense, get ready for him to rise up in those MVP talks. I'm telling you, it's huge. This stretch is big. If he kind of falters or plays back and forth, shoots poorly, doesn't, have any great highlights and maybe has a flop or two, then yeah, he's out of the race. And that's fine because our one goal is a championship. But this is his stretch. If he wants to make a campaign, so to speak, 2024, Tatum for MVP, this is his one stretch to really make that push. And I'm just excited. This is a great slate of games. Mavs, Warriors, Cavs, Denver, Suns, Sixers are in there too. No Embiid, but still. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a fun stretch of games. It's really going to be awesome. And like I said, it's his one chance to be in serious talks. Even if he doesn't end up winning it. But it's his one chance. Going up against Luka, going up against Jokic, going up against KD, going up against Mitchell, going up against Curry, going up against Maxey. It's a fun stretch. It's a fun stretch. And it's a chance for him to show his chest hair, It's a chance for him to really show, I'm not messing around. I am the best player when I step on the court. And let me prove it. You know what that means? It is time to stop talking about the Celtics. Luke, stop talking about Jason Tatum and how good he is and how much you love him and how good you think he is at basketball. We get it. We get it, Luke. You think he's good at basketball. Move on. There's other players in the NBA too. All right? We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about him on Major Wager. Yeah, I'm going to bring in my degenerate gambling brother. You know who he is. He's Timmy KGB, a.k.a. T-Bone Steak Extra Rare. No hollandaise at all. Not in sight. Not even low sodium hollandaise sauce. You know what it is. Let's bring him in. Let's skip all the theatrics. It is Major Wager. Timmy, what's up, buddy?
How you doing, Luke? I'm doing good.
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a week, a week without our Major Wager dosage, so I'm glad to have us back.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah. This past week, we had the All-Star break. We bet on our All-Star break stuff. And in a 7-game series down to the wire, well, not really because I won pretty early, but it was a 4-3 victory by me in our All-Star kind of like ringer, if you will, of bets. So I won the skills challenge, the 3-point contest, the dunk contest, and the rising stars. So pretty much I've won everything by the end of Saturday. And you won the celebrity game, which that was your big one.
I won the one that matters. I mean, really, that's the only one I had a real lean on. So,
and that's the one people, again, we talked about it. That's why you watch the All-Star weekend, is to watch the celebrity game. Everybody knows it.
Although not to interrupt you, but it did have probably one of the most awesome performances with Micah Parsons. I
True.
mean, he was unbelievable, man. Like,
Yeah, that was
who knew he
awesome.
could hoop like that?
Yeah, I did not. Well, you could have probably guessed because he's so athletic,
Yeah,
like
he was running through people, man.
unreal. Um, Lil Wayne was no help to my team.
No,
By the
no.
way, I thought he was going to be drawing up plays. He was no help. And then you also won the All-Star game pick and the high end points. I had Devin Booker, who only had 15 points. He did nothing in that game. And you had Tyrese, who had 32. So technically, you won that one. But I won the series 4-3, winning me $200, your $200. I took your $200. You go down to $728. And I am now at broken even 1,000,
Mm.
1,000. That's my first time since making our first bets that I broke 1,000 or gotten there. So I'm back to our
With
starting
a
point.
win this week, I would have had a chance to really start to break away. But now
Yes.
the tables have turned. So yeah, no, I'm down. I gotta win some money this week.
Yeah, you do. Let's do it. Let's put actually, before we do that, let's talk about the All-Star break. We all know the All-Star break
Mm.
sucks. We're not going to get too much into it. So anybody rolling your eyes that you've already listened to 5 NBA podcasts talk about how annoying the All-Star break is this time it's like just always not competitive and all that stuff. Um what did you think? What was your favorite event of the weekend? Like what do you think actually worked?
Oh, easily. It was Saturday's always my favorite day, first of all. Just I mean, I always like the skills and 3-point, more than the game itself. But easily the best event for me was the Stephen Sabrina,
Yeah.
3-point side competition. I thought that was great. Just like the fanfare of it, the fact that she was shooting from the men's 3-point line, the fact that it was so close. She tied the best score in the actual 3-point competition. And of course, Steph did Steph things and just sort of popped in and gave a cool 31. I forget exactly what his score was, but I
Yeah.
thought that was awesome. And I just thought, I feel like the WNBA is having a lot of like really great moments lately and great talent coming in with Galen Clark. And
Of course. Yeah.
um, I just thought it was a super cool moment. And like I was watching it with my wife and we were like really jazzed, and it was definitely
Yeah.
the event of the night. And yeah, like you said, the game itself was a mockery and it always is. But I think this is the worst, pretty much the worst it's ever been, and it was unwatchable. What I think it was the highest scoring All Star game ever, and
It was
just like
unwatchable. The threes were so annoying. I turned the game off because every single time somebody would cross half court, it just was Damian Lillard was just shooting and he won the MVP, which
yeah,
makes it
yeah,
even sadder because he just would cross the half court point and just throw up a three. And this was a year that apparently Adam Silver had made a big push. They brought all these legends like Larry Bird was there. Jerry Bird,
Jerry Bird,
Jerry, Jerry and Larry Bird were both there. So that's
the
always
lesser
cool.
known Bird twin,
The
Jerry Bird.
lesser known but better at basketball, just never
Oh
made it
yeah,
to the NBA. But yeah, they like made this big push. Apparently, they had a meeting with the players, basically saying like we need to make this more competitive for a TV deal. Like we need you guys to work with us here. Adam Silver had a meeting with them, and I don't know if you saw, but when Adam Silver handed Dame Lillard the trophy, or handed the West the trophy or the East the trophy, sorry. Um, Basically he handed it to them, and he was like,
oh yeah.
congratulations, you scored more points. That's what he
No,
said.
he was visibly pissed.
He was, as he
He
should
was
have been. I
visibly
mean,
annoyed.
that's TNT. That's a huge TV deal for the NBA. That's a lot of money. It is. And
But why do we still wait? Why do we keep expecting that we can fix the All Star game and make it good just by being like, it'd be cool if you guys tried? I mean, it's just, it's like the Pro Bowl. It's one of these things. It's just, it sucks. It's always going to suck. I thought it sucked a little less when they did the draft.
yeah.
That was the cool thing. I don't know. Do you know why they undid it? I don't know if it was because players didn't want to get picked last or whatever, but that at least I thought the games were a little more competitive. Um, they used to do I thought the draft like added an element to it, but anyway.
Well, it added the element not only of that, but it also added the element of like playing against people on your team. Like we had that awesome moment with JT versus JB in last year's All Star, where it's like these two guys who've only played together in their career. Now they're on opposite teams because they were drafted on opposite teams. So you have like
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
interplay there. I think they did it to like bring more competitive nature out, like East versus West, territorial. That's what Adam Silver said in a statement, at least. But I think one thing that could be cool to add to somewhere and maybe take away the skills challenge. The skills challenge seems and
It's
you
pretty
got to.
goofy.
It's goofy. Nobody really
Yeah.
cares. Anthony Edwards shot with his left hand.
Yeah, no, that was my team. I was pretty pissed about
Yeah, I was
that.
very happy about that. That's pretty much what won me the $200. But what do you think about this, Tim? Let me real quick, and then we're gonna move on. We're gonna play a little game, but real quick, we're gonna do our picks, and then we're gonna play a game. But real quick, what if there was a one-on-one tournament?
I like it.
Everybody always talks about, oh, this player is so good here, but he would beat him in one-on-one. Like it's always people always say like Jordan would beat you in one-on-one every time. LeBron could muscle anybody and beat him one-on-one. We want to see it. Why don't we do like a one-on-one tournament in the All-Star weekend?
I love that idea as a fan. I think the reason why it doesn't happen is that players do not want to get embarrassed on All-Star weekend. And I think there's one thing of like losing the 3-point competition. It's like, well, I just didn't shoot as well. It's like getting like taken, over and over in one-on-one would be, I mean, awesome from the
Right?
fan perspective to see that. But I think players would hesitate to sign up for that kind of thing, but maybe not. I think it'd be great. I've thought it before. It's like, why isn't there a one-on-one component to any of this? Or horse, fucking,
Or
am I
horse.
supposed to swear? Can I swear on
You
this
can do
pod?
whatever you want because this is how we feel.
Horse, man.
Horse.
Yeah, I've thought that too. One-on-one horse, lean into frankly, the novelty aspect of it, and I mean, the game is just, I don't know.
Well, again, like horse is a great example. I love that because that's a way for them to not get embarrassed. Because you're right. That's probably why they don't try so hard in the All Star. They don't want to get hurt, and they don't want to lose. In front of everybody. I think the one-on-one would be so much fun. It would be like the dunk contest. It wouldn't be every All Star does the one-on-one tournament. It would be a group of maybe 6 guys. You go in like DeMar DeRozan wants to prove that he can beat some people one-on-one. It's a fun like whatever game to 5 game.
And you'd have like a weird it's like Isaiah Joe won and for some reason. He's so good. Like some random guy could win. Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I love it.
Yeah. And I think it could fix it. But anyway, enough of the All-Star break. It sucks. We won't be back for another year gladly because it's one of the worst. There are some fun moments, but I like the 3-point contest. That's the only thing that still works for me. Let's go ahead and make our picks, Timmy, for next week's major wager. Like I said, I'm at 1,000. You're at 728. I have taken a huge leap. So you need maybe a desperate heave, but it is a long season. What do you got? What's your bet?
No desperation from me. Well, I don't know. I say that, but I'm picking a three leg same game parlay. But all right. So this is the Pacers Raptors.
Ooh.
Meet up tomorrow night. 3-leg same game parlay. Pacers on the money line. Pacers first to 20 points.
Ooh.
And
okay.
Raptors under 120.5 for the game.
Oh, I like that.
All of those, the Pacers money line is the money line is minus 238. The Pacers first to 20 is minus 145. The Raptors under 120.5 is minus 125. So they're all, none of them are a stretch. They all seem like safe bets, but altogether the parlay is plus 186.
Ooh.
And I will put my customary $100.
I like it
on that for 286. It's one of those ones you look at it on paper, you're like, that makes sense, but who knows? We'll see.
I like that.
That 120 could be the one that
I was gonna say it's always the third leg.
Me.
It feels like it's always the third leg. I like that. You're gonna hate me because I'm playing it safe. I'm up right now, and
sure.
I have been down. I think the entire time you've at least had somewhat of a lead on me, and maybe one time I took a lead, but this is the first time I've had a significant lead. And there's not many great games tomorrow. Nothing inspired me to really bet on. Nothing that I felt in my core. So instead, I'm going to do just the Miami Heat money line over the Sacramento Kings, which they are injured. They don't have Rozier. They kind of have people game time decision. They're missing a lot of pieces. But I'm picking the Heat, and they are plus 240 on the money line.
Oh.
So that's why. Isn't that crazy?
Have you studied the injury report there?
I did. I looked through the whole injury report, and I can pull it up right now too. We have Orlando Robinson, Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero, but he's game time decision, and I read into it a little bit.
He's on my fantasy team. I doubt he's going to play.
Yeah, so he probably won't play. Nikola Jovic.
Well, no, they're suspended.
Bryant.
Yeah, they're suspended.
Yeah,
right.
They're suspended from the fight.
Jovic. I thought Butler, Jovic, and
I am betting $50 only to make 170 off of the plus 240, and I'm betting 100% on Heat culture. That's what I'm betting on. And it's only $50. So if I don't make it, I'm still at 950. But
that's good. I like it. Where is
bet.
it? Is it in Miami or is it in Sacramento?
I believe it's in Miami. Let me triple check. No, it's in Sacramento. So that's why it's plus 240.
It safe?
There's a reason that it's plus 240, but I'm only betting $50 for a big payout. So if I lose the 50, I'm not going to cry about it. This is something that if they were to win somehow,
you're already talking. You're already talking yourself out of the bet. You're like, hey, for my next bet, I have a real safe one, and then they can somehow win.
If it somehow hits, big. Yeah, it's a long shot safe bet. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So those are our bets for tomorrow, Monday. Stay tuned for those. Follow the Instagram of the Dribble. I'm going to be, updating live on both of those bets, see where we are, and see if I can maintain this lead and push it past the 1,000. Now, moving on past the betting part of Major Wager, Timmy, you want to play a game?
Oh, yes. I love games.
I love games. And we haven't really done too many trivia-based games.
Okay, yeah.
So we're going to do a little bit of trivia, test your knowledge, and then hopefully that'll open up some conversations too. We're going to play a game that I call
Simpsons
2 truths and 1 lie.
And 1.
And 1.
The basketball term.
That's a basketball term for all of you out there. So 2 truths and 1 lie. So basically 2 truths and a lie. We all know this game. I'm going to give you basically a stat with 3 players or 3 outcomes, and you're going to tell me which one of those 3 is a lie. 2 of them are true. 1 of them is a lie. Test your knowledge.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it, man.
Okay. So my first one. 7 NBA players have won 40 or more playoff games in the last 5 years. Those 3 players are Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, and Jimmy Butler. 7 NBA players have won 40 or more playoff games in the last 5 years. 3 of those players are Giannis, Tatum, Jimmy Butler. What's the lie?
So which of those 3 is not one of the 7 players who's won? Wait, did you say the most? Is there a concrete number or just the most?
40 or more. Games? 40 or more playoff games.
Ooh, okay. So Giannis, Tatum, and Butler.
Yep.
Tatum has to be on there, I think. 5 years. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna say the lie is Giannis.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct. It is Giannis. Giannis has 36 playoff wins over the last 5 years. Remember, they got ousted with only 1 win last year. That's pretty big. And the Heat obviously went to the finals.
What
are you
I was just gonna say that year, and also, the year that we beat them, that was the Eastern semis. That wasn't even the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, that was the semis.
So again, missing out on a whole full round, and the Heat have been to the finals twice.
Yeah.
And we've been to the finals once. So yeah, that makes sense.
And even when the Heat didn't go to the finals, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals against us. So they've been deep.
Yeah.
Jimmy actually has the most 44 in the 5 years, and then Jason Tatum coming in with a cool 41.
Well, for Tatum, wouldn't Brown also be tied with that on that list? No. Why?
Jaylen Brown, I think he played. Maybe he was injured for a couple of games. Didn't he have a hamstring injury?
Yeah. I think. Wasn't it the Nets series that we won 1 game, right? That year.
I think Brown was at 39.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
I think we didn't must have been out. And I think also he had a hamstring, reoccurring hamstring injury for a little bit there. But yeah, that's interesting. If you think about it, you would think Giannis, obviously, but he's 36. He's actually pretty far down the line. And then also, what PJ Tucker is tied with
Oh
Jimmy
yeah.
Butler for the most.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Tucker, known obviously as a guy who's sort of a journeyman of deep playoff run teams. Yeah, no, that's a good one, but it just goes to show, like, I mean, first of all, just how amazing Jimmy is, bringing teams that are very good, but not necessarily the same talent level, so deep in the playoffs year
Yeah.
after year. That hardly needs to be said. It's almost a cliche at this point.
Yeah.
But just how much success in the playoffs Tatum has had in such a short period of time, in such a young career.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
I mean, the past five
He's about to
years,
add a bunch more to his belt.
he is
What's four times four,
16.
Yeah, that's how
But
many.
had 16 this year.
That's how many it takes
That's how
to
many
win
it
it all.
takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that list is, if you take Tatum's entire career, he's played 6 years and he won, I think it's pretty 13 games, 13 playoff games that first, or not 13, 9 playoff games that first year when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. So yeah, I mean, or no, 11. It would be 11 playoff games. So I think he's won a total of 52 playoff games in his career, which is crazy. That's
It's wild. Yeah. I mean, it's funny that the narrative, and I get this to a certain extent, but the narrative on the Celtics this year has largely been like, let's see if they can do it. Let's see if they can really do it. And it's like, no, this team has not won a championship, but like has had more postseason success than almost anyone else with a really, really young roster, whose the best players are under 25 or have
yeah,
been in the past several playoff runs. So, yeah, it's a weird situation in which you could maybe even argue we've had too much playoff success young, and that
yeah,
we're viewed as a disappointment in some way. A team who can't get over the hump when it's like, well, other teams with stars that age don't even make it there, don't
yeah.
even make it out of the first round. So there's it's just a different standard by which the Celtics are evaluated sometimes.
Yeah, you'll notice a name that's not on there is Joel Embiid. Like I don't. That is one thing that upsets me personally. Is Jason Tatum has been penalized for going deep into the playoffs, and someone like Joel Embiid, they're like, well, oh, he whatever. He's never gotten out of the second round, and like people forget, Jason Tatum had 51 in that game seven. Joel Embiid had like 20 and 5. Like he was terrible, and he shot the ball terribly. He'd put up no fight, and people can say he was injured, but he was moving around fine. He was blocking everybody fine that whole series. He looked good, but I think he falters in the playoffs so often, but he never gets held
Might not
accountable.
even have him this year.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what happens. All right, next one. Let's do another one. Let's go on to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I'm going to say 3 things about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you tell me which of these 3 things is a lie. Okay. The Oklahoma City Thunder, A, have 5 players averaging double digits, so 10 or more points per game. Have the most first round draft picks over the next 6 years in the whole NBA. Have the most first round draft picks over the next 6 years. And C, has the easiest strength of schedule remaining in the NBA season.
Couldn't speak to that. So SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet, maybe what's his name? Lou Dort. I'm trying to think of double figure scores. I think it's the second thing. I think it's the most picks. I mean, that's always the thing you hear about them, right? Is that they have like insane amounts of first round picks, and I think it's that. It's got to be that.
You think that that's the lie?
No. Sorry, that's true. Oh, I was just supposed to come up with the
Right,
lie.
2 truths and a
Oh,
lie.
I think the lie is then. Okay, the lie. Now I'm in my head about it. Okay, how about this? Then the lie is that they have the easiest strength of schedule or hardest. What would you say? Just because I don't know.
Timmy, you're 2-0.
Oh, really? That was a
Yeah,
guess.
you're 2-0.
Just because I only knew the truth, I didn't know if they had 5. So who did I get the 4 players right who averaged double digits?
Yeah, and then the fifth,
fifth.
It's escaping me right now who the fifth one is. Let me check though. But yeah, they have 5 players in double digits,
That doesn't
and
surprise me that much.
they have, guess how many picks they have, first round picks, for how good of a team they are. Guess how many picks they have over the next 6 years.
I know it's obscene. They have like the Rockets picks. They have Yeah, I don't. How many?
12.
6 years? No.
12 in 6 years. That is basically two first round picks every single year for over half a decade. That
And they
is,
have pick swaps too, don't they? Have pick swaps?
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a couple teams, the Clippers and someone else. But yeah, yeah, it's unbelievable.
It really is. And if also like, so the last one, the strength of schedule, they still have they have ninth easiest strength of schedule remaining. Orlando has the easiest schedule, and the Boston Celtics have the second easiest schedule moving forward. Um,
Seems
so
like it's been pretty easy so far.
yes, it does. 45 and 12. Thank you. I will take that.
Has
Um,
it been too easy?
no.
Next on Major Wager. Is
Mm.
basketball too easy for the Boston Celtics?
Should the Boston Celtics explore playing a new sport?
I kind of
Next.
mean that though. We don't have to have that conversation now, but it feels like we
Yeah.
haven't been tested sufficiently. Anyway,
Yeah.
back to the Thunder. Yeah, let's look. Where are they in the playoff standings right now?
They are, I believe, second in the
Yeah,
playoffs
they're
right now.
second.
Yeah.
Could they be? They are a half a game behind the Wolves. They could very feasibly finish with the best record in the West.
Yeah. And like, what does that look like for a young team like this? You have these stars who SGA seems like he's a bona fide superstar, going to be as good as he is for a while in the league. You have Chet, you have people, you have these young players that you're not paying a lot right now, but you have young talent that seems like they're developing. They're, like you just said, half game out from the top of the West. Then you have a ton of draft capital moving forward in the next 6 years to really build a crazy good team. And this year alone, right, you have a pretty easy strength of schedule still, even though that was the lie. It's still ninth easiest. So like this team can only go up. This team has a bright future ahead of it.
The funny thing is, looking at the West this year, so it's a little, I don't know, like, but it seems like a little bit of a booby prize to get a first or second seed because lurking in that plan, there is going to be a dangerous team.
Yeah.
Like the Warriors, who've been playing really well since moving Clay to the bench. Like that team is tip. Well, maybe I have PTSD after playing them in the finals, thinking we could beat them easily, and we lost in six. But
Yep.
yeah, the Warriors down there, Lakers are gonna be in the play, and the Mavs, who I think are one of the most ascendant teams. Maybe they'll sort of rise out of that category, but whoever gets that first or second seed is going to have to play a hard team in the first round, like a seasoned veteran team in all likelihood in the first round. So
Yeah.
um, anyway, but I hope they get out of it because they're great. It's like you said, with all this draft capital, like they almost have like too many good players now. Like players, like they don't play any bad guys. Like they
Yeah.
they got rid of Poku.
Yeah.
Like they waived Pokuševski, like who I don't know. I don't know. Like he could start on 20 teams. I think not start, certainly. He could play and be in rotation on 20 teams. Giddy seems like he's on the fringes, even though a year or two ago he looked like he was going to be a piece. So at what point do they turn some of that draft capital into an established player, or do they continue to build through the draft? Remember they got Shea through a trade. I mean that trade is underrated.
Oh,
With
huge.
the Clippers, in what they got, in one of the top, you could argue, 3 or 4 players in the league in Shea.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah,
Especially
they're,
moving
they're set
forward.
up, man. That
They
that
are
Thunder
set up.
team, those
I think
Thunder
they should
pups.
spend the draft capital. I don't think they should they should use some of it, but I think they can land somebody next to SGA that would, and then if you develop Chet, this team, I think years to come in the next 5 years, look out for them to win 1 or 2 championships. I think they're just primed for it. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. This one is another player centric one, away from the team centric one. 2 truths and 1 lie. Here we go. These players, the following players, lead their teams in total rebounds, points, and assists. The 3 major statistical categories: points, rebounds, and assists. The following players lead their teams in total, not average, total points, rebounds, and assists this season. Those players are Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bam Adebayo, Jason Tatum.
Okay.
So again, you'll notice we have two players similar to the playoff wins, Giannis and Tatum both in here, and we have a Heat player. So we're kind of sticking with the same theme of these three Eastern teams that have been in the thick of it.
I don't think it can be Bam. I don't know. I mean, he probably averages the most points over Jimmy, but I would guess not assists. Although, who knows? I mean, I want to say it's Tatum, but I don't. Because Tatum, so you said totals.
Totals. Totals
Tatum
for this
plays
season.
every game. I mean, it
Well,
can't
who's
be,
the
it's
lie?
not going to be Giannis. I think it's Tatum again.
You think Tatum's the lie?
Yeah. No, he's true. Oh, God, it's the lie. I keep trying to pick the true
Two
one.
truths and a lie. You got to pick the lie.
Who's the lie?
Who's the lie? Dead air.
No. Just let me think. How much time has Giannis missed versus how much time has Bam missed is kind of my thought process here. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say Giannis, but that would be two answers that are shitting on Giannis. But I'm just gonna say it. I think it's Giannis.
Timmy, you are 3-0.
There you go.
3-0 and two truths and a lie. Okay. So yeah, it's Giannis. And Bam Adebayo by a long shot almost leads them in all three categories.
Well, okay, that makes a lot of sense then because it's totals, because Jimmy misses, half the games. Doesn't care.
Exactly. And then Bam's second. But I was surprised by assists, like you said, with Bam.
But it makes sense when you think of it in that way.
He's been
totals, not per game.
He's been such a well-rounded player this year. He's
awesome, and he's a Celtic killer. He's one of the people I fear the most, and in playoff matchups.
That's why I'm never going to kill that team. They'll always have some place in Hope's Hotel because this team is, I get flashbacks. Jason Tatum also leads the Celtics. Like you said, he plays basically every single game by a wide margin. The closest to him is Drew Holiday in assists. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Giannis is leads in points, leads in rebounds, but he's only 2 assists behind Damian Lillard. Currently,
total
Damian
assists.
Lillard,
wow.
Yeah, only 2. I know. Isn't that crazy for a guy who plays like him? Damian Lillard has 353 assists on the year, and Giannis has 351 assists on the year. So yeah, he's right there. It's tough. It goes to show, like, a guy like Jason Tatum, obviously, I think his growth this year has been his playmaking, and has been him kind of like taking a back seat. And so him leading all categories, that's great. That's part of his growth. Giannis, you would expect to, but Bam to me is the standout.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I think though, mapping it out in that way as totals makes sense. But with Tatum, there's been a lot more buzz lately. Talk, that Stephen A. Smith, segment about does he really deserve MVP? I don't think he does, and I don't think he really deserves to be more in the conversation that he is. I think he's pretty much ranked where he should be in terms of the MVP vote. But he does everything, as you just pointed out in this stat, on by far the best team in the league. We have a 7.5 game lead on the Cavs, the next place in the East. So I think what he's doing is really impressive. It's a little Paul Pierce-ish 2008, right? Again, the different era, different scoring, but just not taking a step back in scoring. What is he averaging? 27 this year.
27.
Taking a pretty considerable step back, but still leading the team in all categories. He's having an underratedly good season, I think.
Yeah, I just actually talked about it in a previous part of this pod. I was talking about Jason Tatum and where he's come from, where he was last year and the year before, his patience, his sacrifice. I agree with you that he probably won't win MVP, and considering his numbers, probably shouldn't win MVP. But I did make an argument earlier that he certainly being disrespected as being, I think he's the 5th right now, or maybe 6th in the rankings for MVP. I just think that he plays the right way. I love Luka, but Luka's like a Harlem Globetrotter. It's a different game, and the usage rate is so high that.
But can I ask you a question with Tatum though? In that,
yeah.
So I mean, I get that, but is this Tatum's best season?
Yes.
You think so?
I do.
I don't know.
It's not statistically. Season. He has a career high in assists, and it's not by much, but I just think here's why. And again, I just talked about this, but I want to hear your take on it. Like against the Knicks, I thought that was a
Yeah.
brilliant game.
Yeah.
He had 19.6 rebounds, 6 assists, didn't shoot the three ball well, but he only took 15 shots. And me and you both know Jason Tatum's body language. His body language throughout the game was not, he was in the corner or he was not touching the ball a lot, didn't shoot a lot, but it wasn't that like, oh, I'm disinterested or I'm just not trying. You could tell he was facilitating a level of leadership to Kristaps and to Jaylen Brown that seemed like he was like, no, I'm good. This is your, like, especially after the heels of what he said in the media and Stephen A's stuff about him being MVP, he has taken a leadership role where he picks his spots better, he picks his shots better, it seems like, but he recognizes the talent around him. And that's hard to do, to go,
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to you. Like, Kristaps, you're back home. This is where you were drafted. They booed you on draft night. Here,
Booed
you
him
take all
last
the
night
shots.
too. You're
Say
frozen
that
a little.
again. Sorry, you buzzed out a little bit. Say that again.
Yeah, so did you. All right, let's take. Yeah, I just said they booed him last night too, but you're right about Tatum. He is really he has had the perfect. Let's say this. He's had the perfect season for the team that he's
Yeah.
on, which
Yes.
all that matters. Basketball is about winning basketball games, but I feel like to make the argument for him, just in terms of the narrative of the MVP, he has to have won a championship. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like to do that's like the LeBron MVP. It's like, yeah, he might not have had some of the like he didn't win the scoring title, he didn't yada yada, but like he's a champion and he's on the best team.
Right.
And he's the best player. Like, you have to have I think a little more pedigree than Tatum currently has. Although if the Celtics like rip through, you said they have the second easiest remaining schedule or the easiest, right?
The second easiest. Yeah.
If they rip through these last games and really like distinguish themselves as they've already done, but even higher above the rest of the league, and the conversation starts to shift. Like I still don't think there's a clear MVP. I mean, Jokic is obviously the favorite, but you could make a real case for your guy Luka. You could make a real case for, I think, for SGA. Like if they get the 1 seed and you really look at his numbers, and then I think Kawhi and Tatum too. So I think any of
Yeah.
those players could conceivably win it. Tatum seems the least likely, but it would have to be he finishes with some strong performances, and the team is just too good and wins like 62 games, and it's like,
Yeah.
the next best team won like 53. I think we have to really consider Tatum for this. It's possible. It's
It is
possible.
possible. And again, I said it earlier. I don't think it's going to happen, but I can't help but watch the other players. They're incredible. And SGA is the closest to this. He's very good at defense. He leads the league in steals per game and total steals. So he's not somebody who just plays the one end of the court. But like, you can't. I think you're right. Unlike most players, they usually get MVP first and then they graduate onto winning a championship. That's kind of like superstars, like Giannis did that. It's kind of a rite of passage. You get recognized as one of the best players, and then a championship soon comes. But he's the opposite. In order
Yeah,
for him to get his respect, he's going to have to win.
that's what I think. I
Yeah,
honestly think if he has a path toward winning an MVP in his career, which I think he could do and can do, um, that's the path.
yeah,
Because he like maybe this as much as we love Tatum, he's awesome. He's not the best player in the league or even in
right.
the
But
conversation.
to
Yeah,
me, does MVP mean best player in the league,
right.
or does it mean like? Because again, I brought it again.
But
I'm kind of repeating a lot of stuff on the pod, but like, if you like, Tom Brady wasn't the best player necessarily, didn't have the craziest arm, didn't do, but he knew how to win. He knew how to sacrifice what he needed to do in order to play the right type of game. And I think
that's the
that
case.
Tatum,
That's what we're saying is that if Tatum were winning, Super Bowls, finals with the consistency or even one, then
yeah,
I just think with this year especially, it seems like the kind of year where it's like you're gonna have to have either a statistical season that's so crazy to beat Jokic because he's just known as sort of the best player in the league with no competition, or your team has to be so good
right.
that it's one of those awards where it's like we have to honor the record of the team he's on. Hey, we'll see. It's a fascinating year for it.
I think he's going to rifle off some championships in the next couple of years, next 5 years. I think we're going to
Hope
get
so.
a couple under our belt, but that's neither here nor there. That is, well, it's actually exactly here because it's a Celtics podcast. So let's do one more of the two truths and one lie. And let's see. We're gonna go in the direction. We're gonna go in the direction of salary. NBA salary, looking
Celery?
celery. NBA vegetables,
Yep.
celery, carrots. Often we know that the NBA teams carry around a lot of vegetables. NBA salary.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I'm
Teams
ready.
with the highest NBA salary in this year, meaning the most amount that they're paying their players. Locked in. The top 3 salaries in the NBA currently are the Golden State Warriors, the Boston Celtics, and the Phoenix Suns. Which one of those is a lie? Which one is not top 3 salaries in the league currently? And of course, we know a lot of salary cap changes as far as like a second apron and going over the salary cap. You can't play players too much, but tons of super teams out there. So, which of those teams, Golden State, Boston Celtics, or the Phoenix Suns, have is not in the top 3 for highest salaries this year?
Okay. Suns, Warriors, Celtics. So the Suns for sure have to be on this list because, yeah, I mean, right? Ishbia has just like paid all these guys exorbitant amounts of money and took on that huge Beal salary. Although, who knows? I know the Celtics are up there too. They all seem like they would be. I want to say the Warriors are the lie off the top of my head.
Warriors lie, lock
Yeah.
in.
Lock in. Am I gonna go perfect?
3-1. You are not
No.
perfect.
So
Actually,
is it the Suns?
it's the Boston Celtics.
Oh, it's the Celtics. Oh,
Boston
interesting.
Celtics. Yeah, but that's going to change. Of course, Jaylen Brown signed the richest contract in NBA history, but that doesn't really kick in until a couple years from now. But as it stands right
Oh,
now, the Warriors, and theirs will go down as the years go, but this year are at 209.3 million,
hmm.
which is an insanely high. But Curry's is going up, but then they're shedding some salaries as that goes. But the Boston Celtics have 185.6, and the Phoenix Suns have 193.2. So
Yeah.
Golden State's number 1 with 209. Phoenix Suns is number 2 with 193.2, and then the Boston Celtics at 185. And I mean, like I said, Jaylen Brown's contract is crazy. Um, and it's
Well,
going to
Tatum's
be
gonna get one of his own at a certain point here.
so
We're
the
gonna
yeah,
be
the sneaky is it's the Celtics over the next 3-4 years because we're gonna have to pay guys crazy amount. But as it is right now, those are the team. I mean, you have Kevin Durant right now making 47.6. You have, like you said, the major contract of Bradley Beal. He's making 46.7, so close
that's
to.
been disappointing so far.
It's been so disappointing and definitely
They've been
not worth
so good
50
with the three
million.
of them together. It's just that he has another hamstring thing, I think, right now. And
And
yeah,
especially this close to the playoffs, hamstring. I mean,
but they're
that's
another one of those teams. If they sort of struggle and fall into the bottom half of the West, maybe they're there already.
mhm.
Um, you're not going to want to meet that team if they happen to be healthy.
Yeah.
First round, if you're, let's say, even the Nuggets. I mean, yeah, I don't know. A lot of
Can you
dangerous teams in the bottom there in the West.
so those are the 2 teams, right? Who's the third team? Can you guess?
Highest, you
And
know,
it, and they're actually the second highest. So Golden State is first with 209.3. The Suns are third with 193.2. But who's the second? Who is the second highest current salary in the NBA? And it's more obvious than you think.
the gut wants to say the Lakers somehow, just because that seems on brand, but I actually don't think it's that. Is it the Clippers?
It's the Clippers.
I'm so
Nice. Yeah.
smart.
You are you know what? I'm gonna erase your one loss, the this one, and I'm gonna say you went 4-0 with the
Yeah,
Clippers. Clippers 202.2.
it makes
Obviously.
sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're the 2018 All NBA team. They have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. This Clippers team is like built to win right now and right now only. Like, I just don't see this working years down the line. I think they have to get it together this year, or it's just another failed Harden
Well, they have.
project.
I mean, I'm very pro Clippers this year if they
Yeah, me
can
too. They're on the
help me.
penthouse.
Like
In the penthouse.
I would when I think about because I think about these sorts of things as an obsessed Celtics person.
Yeah.
teams coming out of the West that it's a lot of teams. I think mostly I fear teams in the West over teams in the East this year, and but the Clippers would be a nightmare if they're all. I mean, again, you've got a lot of guys like Harden and stuff that you would go, yeah, they've choked in the playoffs, but I don't know, man. I mean, Kawhi, it'd be so remarkable if they won a championship and he was the best player on three separate franchise
I was gonna say,
titles.
what does that do for his all-time status? I mean, does that put him in top 10? That nobody's ever done that.
Well, it's awesome and pretty cool. I mean, like if he did that, yeah, like you're right, nobody's ever done that. But yeah, I mean, I just think he hasn't had the record of health or availability to be in that
Yeah.
category, right? I don't know.
Well, and also I guess we misspoke. Technically, LeBron's done that.
No, yeah, he has.
Yeah, he did that with the Cavs, the Heat, and the
No, you're
Lakers.
right.
But it would be
Wow.
certainly something that I wouldn't have predicted for Kawhi like 2 years ago. I mean, him winning that Raptors series was weird, and I know he beat the Raptors or he beat the Warriors, who were decimated with injuries. So it's like but it counts. Championship's championship. But if they were to go on and win it, and he's obviously their best player right now, I just think I talked about it in last week's pod. They're in the penthouse in Hope's Hotel, and it just seems like they're clicking at the right time. It really does. It seems like you have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, who are both two-way mature stars that aren't people who just throw up shots. And then you have Kawhi, or then you have Russell Westbrook, who's humbled himself coming off the bench. Then you have James Harden, who is your typical superstar, but he's also a typical superstar that's averaged the league's best assists last year. So he's matured a little bit too. And
But
their defense is so
Harden,
good.
you wonder with Harden because he tends to have this relationship with new teams. It's like the new team energy, and he plays really well. And you read all these pieces, it's like Harden looking like a new man, whatever, whatever.
Yep.
He People forget how good it looked for a long stretch of time on the Sixers,
Yeah.
and even in Brooklyn, but it goes haywire after a while. And the question is like, is it going to go haywire this season or postseason in LA, or is it going to work? But yeah, they're one of the several teams that I think are another question. Like, how many legit contenders are there in the West?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting.
It's a lot.
There's two things that happen in that situation. It's the team that comes out of the West is battle tested, has seen it, and they're ready for whatever comes out of the East. And say the Celtics roll through the East, or whoever it is rolls through the East, they might be met with a little bit of a unexpected aggression out of somebody who just came out of war in the West, or
Yeah, totally.
which is a huge thing that happens all the time. Or they are they had three consecutive game sevens, couple of nagging injuries on some role players, scratching and clawing. They've been playing 45 minutes a game, and now they come up against the Celtics and it's just too much. Or you know what I mean? Like the two schools of thought are either you come out of war and you are limping and can't finish it, or you come out of that Western war and you are battle tested and ready to go.
Yeah, the Nuggets last year, for example, are a team that really never got tested,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they cruised and they were the best team, and they won every series handily, and
Yeah.
they sort of never hit that wall. But yeah, I wonder. It'll be interesting. I think there's so many teams in the West that would not surprise me if they made it out.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
not at all. I would even still put the Warriors in that category. It would sound a month ago, 2 months ago, that would have sounded crazy. But I don't know.
No.
Pels Kings would shock me. Lakers would shock me too, but nothing with them it can shock me because who knows with LeBron. But
Right.
yeah, it's pretty wild out there.
Yeah.
Wild, Wild West.
The
That's
Wild
news.
Wild West.
The
Well,
Wild, Wild West. Put it on.
Wild Major Wager, which is what people call this. That was a good one. I like it. Two
Yeah.
truths and one lie.
I did pretty
And
good. I'm just gonna say in case
you did.
anyone missed it.
Technically, you were 3-1, but we'll give it to you. You were 4-0.
Yeah.
Just for the bonus. You got the bonus. We'll give you 4-0. Timmy undefeated. Timmy KGB, aka T-Bone Steak Extra Rare. No hollandaise, undefeated in the two truths and one lie. That was good. I'm excited to see what our bets do tomorrow night, and and see if I can't extend my lead a little bit.
All right.
All
Let's
right,
see.
dude. All right, man. I'll see you later.
All right. Great talking with you. Bye.
Peace. All right. Another great segment of Major Wager. Played a little game with him. Played the 2 truths and 1 lie, which was a fun one. Now, before I go, that's basically everything I have to talk about. But before I go, like I do every week, I'm going to recap some games to look forward to around the NBA this coming week, along with what the Celtics have lined up. So around the NBA, Tuesday, Mavs at Cavaliers. Mavs at Cavs. That should be a fun game. Wednesday, Battle for LA. Clippers versus Lakers, and Sacramento at Denver. That's a good one. Potential early Western playoff matchup. And then on Thursday, finals rematch, Miami at Denver. That'll be a good one. Golden State at the Knicks. And then on Sunday, the New York Knicks go to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Oklahoma City go to the Suns. Again, another playoff series preview. Can't wait for that. And then the Celtics games this week starts off the gauntlet that I talked about earlier. Tuesday, Philly at Boston. Friday, Mavs at Boston. Very excited. Luka comes to town. And Sunday, Golden State at Boston. Rematch of the finals from a couple years ago. So, yeah, that's everything. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next week to recap all this and to talk more about the NBA and the Boston Celtics. But for now, this has been the Dribble.